now. We'll make this recording available to the rest of the collaborative so that others can learn from what we present here today. Welcome to the Chicagoland Healthcare Workforce Collaborative's Youth Pathways and Career Awareness Industry Convening. I'm April Harrington. I'm the project manager of CHWC. And just as a reminder, the mission of CHWC is to unite employers and industry partners to support an inclusive healthcare workforce, provide accessibility for unemployed and underemployed populations, and develop innovative responses to the evolving needs of the healthcare industry. We are a sector partnership with 12 major hospital systems in the Chicagoland area at the table, and a host of strategic partners who I know some of you are also on this call today. Thanks for joining. So today is the first of 3 industry convenings that I've planned for this week and next week. The goal of these convenings are first to allow our employer partners to learn from each other's programs, hear about each other's programs and strategies, share successes and challenges. And then second, to identify some opportunities to collaborate through CHWC. So I'm hoping that today's conversation will bring up some ideas for fundable projects that CHWC can pursue, or perhaps ongoing conversations that we can bring together this group or a similar group together over the course of the year and next year. I have 2 other conversations occurring next week. The Adult and Incumbent Worker Pathways Industry Convening is on Tuesday, August 24th. And Inclusive Talent Acquisition is on Thursday, August 26th. And then our upcoming quarterly meeting is on September 14th. And at that meeting, I will give a brief overview of everything that came out of these 3 industry convenings. And hopefully at that meeting, we'll be able to decide on some specific strategies or projects for CHWC to pursue. So today we're going to hear from 4 of our employer partners. We'll start with Lurie Children's Hospital, then move on to Northwestern Medicine, hear from Rush's Rush Education and Career Hub, REACH, and then from UIHealth. So each of those will be 10-minute presentations. I encourage all of our presenters to introduce yourselves first, and we'll have time for questions and right after each of those presentations. So everyone who is listening, feel free to ask some questions in the chat as our presenters are speaking, or you'll be able to just turn on your mic and ask a question at the end. I don't expect a very large crowd today. And then we'll move into the discussion portion where we will focus on how we can collaborate and work together for the good of our students. So again, I'm hoping that we come out of this meeting with some ideas for our hospital partners within CHWC, together with our strategic partners, to collaborate and work together and find some sort of project that CHWC can pursue. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Lurie Children's Hospital. Angel, I've allowed you to share your screen. Are you the one who's going to be doing that? Awesome. Okay, so I will unshare and take it away whenever you're ready.
Thank you. And then our director's going to start us off. I'm just going to share my screen. Well, she's...
Good morning. I'm Maria Rivera, the Director of Workforce Development and Multicultural Education. And as Angel pulls up his screen, we wanted to start off this morning with showing our end of year celebration video that highlights our students, some of the students we had in our program this summer.
All right, let me know if you have a hard time hearing this.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are, but I won't let them break. Gonna drown a I am who I meant is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared. Gonna send the blood, gonna drown the mind. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. This is me.
And now I'm going to share our presentation. All right, Maria, you can go ahead.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry, having a technical difficulty. Okay, and for today, our presentation, the agenda will be a brief overview of Lurie Children's Hospital workforce. And then we are the Workforce Development and Multicultural Education Department. And this is our overview, our success for this fiscal year and the barriers.
All right, so everyone, my name is Angel Alcázar, and I'm the Workforce Education Specialist here with Maria's team. Just a brief overview of our Lurie Children's workforce. This data is from 2017, so I'm sure it's changed since, but this is the most recent data that we have. So as of 2017, we had 6,309 employees. The majority are millennials, with followed by Generation X and baby boomers. We have over 1,600 medical and allied health professionals, over 397 physicians, and 865 residents and fellows, and over 200 practices with and affiliations with medical and dental staff. And we are a big nursing institution, so we have over 1,500 nurses. So that's just a brief overview of our workforce here at Lurie Children's. Then I'll pass it on to our colleague, Selena.
Hi, I'm Selena Sepulveda. I'm the program manager on the team. But yes, to give you an overview of how we started. So Maria brought our first program, Discovering Healthcare Careers, in 2001. So that program initiated all the other inspiration to bring in more programs. So the purpose for the programs essentially was that we needed a diverse healthcare workforce. So our patients were very diverse, but not mirroring what our workforce looked like. So we go into our Chicago underserved neighborhoods to really pull diversity and to inspire students to come back and work in Lurie. And then from that one program, we now have over 12 programs that serve middle school through college level and beyond for all our programs within our department.
Go ahead, sorry.
Mm-hmm. And this is what our team looks like. So we have our team, and then the two that are not here is Maxon, our program assistant, and Sharon, our program coordinator.
Awesome. And here's just some of the stuff that we've been working on so far for this calendar year. Thus far, we've served about 350 youth, ranging from elementary school to college levels since January of this year. Some notable ones are our pilot programs. So CHAMP, Community Health and Action Mentorship Program, that's our first public health internship for college students. So we had around 50 undergraduate and graduate youth. Another notable program is our Empower program. That program serves students with minor or chronic disabilities that were Lurie Children's patients themselves. And that program really focuses on workforce development skills. Another pilot program was our very first middle school program called YES, that's Youth Enhancing Skills. Sorry, that's Youth Experiencing Success. Youth Enhancing Skills was another tentative name that we had for it. And Youth Experiencing Success, we served around 45 middle school youth, grades 6 through 8, with 2 schools located in the Belmont-Cragen community and the Austin communities. And they were really focused on soft skills and career exposure. And then another pilot program was our Senior Med program, and that program focused on research and clinical research and public health research, and students were able to earn IRB certifications. So that's the Institutional Review Board. So now Selena and Maria are going to talk about some of our keys to our successes.
Maria, do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
Go ahead and start.
Okay, I can highlight the collaboration. So a big key to our success is our partners. So we have a lot of external partners that really help us bring out these opportunities to our students. So a big one is with UIC. So for the last 3 years, we've been working with the Urban Health Program. So we have a shared mission in working with diverse students, and their college dentistry and college of nursing. They have been big parts to our programs. So we always have like dental visits, dental field trips, workshops, things for our students. And then the nursing school also helps us recruit for our nursing programs and bringing us students as well and pipelining our students to them. And then we also have a partner with Northwestern and their CHET team. So Dr. Simon's Chicago CHET Fellows, they also been working with our students for the last 5 years. They're college students and undergrad and post-bac students that mentor our high school youth. So it's really nice to have that partnership and to have that pipeline where our students can then go to another program and opportunity. And then Dr. Simon's team also provides an online course for our students called Career 911. And that one gives a further exposure and opportunities into the healthcare pipelines and healthcare jobs. And then other partners would be like CPS and CTE and a lot of internal ones. So Maria's definitely knows everyone in the hospital. So it's very nice to have a lot of connections, a lot of department buy-in to have our students shadow and work in the hospital too.
Should I go to the next slide?
Yes.
Okay.
I can talk about the barriers. Some of our barriers was transitioning from in-person to virtual. And one of the many barriers we had, and last year in going within a month trying to make our in-person largest running programs, partnering them together. One is a workforce development program, and that's our One Summer Chicago. And then the other one was our Discovering Healthcare Careers, which which is a educational exposure to healthcare careers and many other careers that could be found in a hospital setting. It was having less than a month due to COVID, having to transition this to a virtual, but then this year we thought for sure we'd be able to go back in person, and it wasn't the case. So we had to turn all our winter, fall, and spring sessions as well. The great thing, great outcome of that is that now we're experts in the virtual world, which is great. And student engagement and participation was another barrier because of the distractions that the students were having from being at home, internet not working, students not being on screen. We worked at being very creative to get them more engaged while they were on our Zoom virtual program for like 5.5 to 6 hours. One of our other barriers is we're continuing to grow our programs and create new ones. So always funding is a barrier because we wish we could do more, but we can only do what we're doing because of funding. Leadership support is very important. We found that the goal of all our programs is that this is a future pipeline for them to come to seek employment at Lurie or any of the other hospitals. But if we're not getting the support from the managers or the hiring staff, then our students are applying and not getting hired. So now we have strategically partnered with our upper up management that has a say in this, and that has been very helpful, and it is proven to be. We have over 100 plus students that are alumni of our programs, Angel being one of them. The other barrier was hospital restrictions, which was they couldn't be in person, but one of the main things for Lurie is because we are a pediatric hospital, we're not allowed to have students start any in-person internship until they are 17 and older. So we would love to be able to bring them in younger, but we cannot. So that is a restriction. And now added to the many requirements that they need to be corporate compliant, including flu shots. Now we have to also add COVID. They need to be COVID, they need to have proof of a COVID shot in order for us to have them in person. So those were the barriers, but we can say that we are working through them. So our programs are still existing, and if anything, very proud to say that in the midst of this pandemic, we've been able to create 3 new virtual programs that we're hopeful to have them in person this coming spring.
And that is it. We are open for questions or comments. So let us know if you guys have any questions. Thank you for your time, and follow us on social media.
Hi, Angel. Quick question, and Maria. How did the revenue cycle sort of internships go? Were those students able to come on campus, or were they virtual also?
So for that, hi Rakia, for that, we were working with the principal from Crane, and they worked out where the students for the revenue cycle that they partnered with Rush, they did that part of the program the first 2 weeks. So we weren't involved in that part. We got the students for the 6 weeks of our internship.
Okay.
So it was 20 students that were identified by Green, and then they worked for, sorry, I'm trying to was that they were working with the Rush side.
Mhm.
I did have a question. So just to confirm, all of your student opportunities, so regardless if it's like middle school, high school, and college age, all of those go through this workforce development department at Lurie's, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Middle schools will not be just piloted that program in the spring, and they will never be in person because of their age. So when we go back to in person, we will be at the schools. It's a 6-week program, so we will be at the school, my team and I, 3 times out of the 6 weeks, and then the other weeks it'll be more virtual, like us bringing our doctors or whoever our presenters or keynote speakers will be. They will be virtual.
Great. Thank you. Great presentation. Thanks for sharing it all.
I'm also curious to hear how you are leading your students through from middle school to high school to college age. Are you tracking your participants? Do you know how many end up working in healthcare?
So I am blessed to have Selena on my team. So Selena, can talk about the track.
Yes, so Maria's been doing this for 20 years, so we're kind of backtracking and catching up to see where our alumni are at. We do know 90 have returned to Lurie, so they've worked in some capacity at Lurie Children's already. A lot of them do go to other partner hospitals, so they're all throughout Chicagoland area. And so we're trying to re-engage them and give them more support on their pathway, to give them that like career mentoring if they need. If they're MA, they want to grow to be like a doctor or something, we provide those extra resources as well. But we are tracking them and to see if they participate in one program, will they pipeline to another program. We're working on a database right now.
And we have really started that as as Selena was hired 3 years ago, and we started also an alumni program, and that is to re-engage them, continue to see. We know that life has happened, and for most of them, they fell off the track or their dream of wanting to be in the healthcare. So now we're re-engaging them by offering them different opportunities so we can get them back.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Lurie, for sharing your programs. I'm going to hand it over to Northwestern now. Aaron and Mandy, I think you both have ability to share your screen.
Hi, I got it. Let's do this. Okay, can everyone see that? Yeah, great. Okay, good morning. I'm Mandy Plonsky with a cold, so sorry about that. I am the program director in community affairs. I've been here for about 3.5 years, and I work really closely with Aaron and the team in human resources. And I'll let Aaron, do you want to introduce yourself now, Aaron?
Sure. I've been with Northwestern Medicine for, gosh, it's 8 years now. My role focus on, I sit in human resources, and I focus on campus recruitment, our summer internship programs, our administrative fellowship program, and then agency, we use Vizient contract labor management as our MSP. So those are my 4 little buckets that I do for the hospital system.
Right, so I take them in middle school and high school, and then I lovingly pass them on to Aaron, and we work together really closely. So I would say, when I first started, even 3 years ago, the program was really more, focused on community outreach, community engagement, and less about sort of a very deliberate pipeline. But, I remember our first conversations when I started with Aaron, like, wouldn't it be cool if we could track students from when we got them, to see whether they got hired? And, we just are now able to do that. So it's been a really exciting time. And so we're focusing, more on getting, the right students in the pathway, and not just ones that want to be, doctors and nurses, but any place that they want to start in our workforce. We're trying to figure out pathways for them now. And so we're really kind of changing the way that we're doing the work, which is, definitely for the better. And so, like I mentioned, we start with them in middle school. That's actually my background. I worked for Chicago Public Schools for like 10 years in their elementary and middle school after school programs. And so, it's really important when students are transitioning into high school for them to know what's out there for them, why math and science is important, and, what is possible. Why it's important, to start off high school on the right foot. So we've been doing some career fairs. Our hospital in the Northwest region, and Huntley and McHenry, they have been doing that for about 20 years, and they have students that have come back and worked for us now. We're also working really closely with Spark to do some other career fair opportunities and some tutor mentor opportunities, and that's been a really nice partnership. And then into high school, the program, that most of our hospital knows is our NM Scholars Program. I'll talk about that in more detail in a minute. That's with Westinghouse College Prep in Garfield Park. Discovery has been around since the 90s. I think it started as a Boy Scout program. We let girls participate now. Actually, it's a lot more girls than boys. And some other partnerships that many of you have with Cristo Rey, with CTE, and others. And then, like I said, we work with Aaron's team to think about, once they're out of high school and in their undergraduate programs, what that can look like. And then, so our program at Westinghouse is now in its 11th year. The majority of the program happens over the summer in what we call our summer intensive program. It's, I was listening to what Lurie was talking about, and the challenges that they had. And, it's crazy that our students, that we have them after their sophomore, junior, and senior years, and the incoming seniors are the only ones who've ever been on campus, because the last 2 summers, unfortunately, they've had to be online. So they don't even know sort of what the program really is, which is really hard. And it was a huge challenge this year. They're just really burnt out. So the program really looks like, like I said, the majority of the work happens in the summer. We focus on a medical related curriculum, and that team kind of is like runs the show for the summer. This summer was dermatology. They did a great job. We were virtual Monday to Thursday, and Westinghouse let us come in on Fridays so they could be in person at the school on Fridays, because we couldn't have them at the hospital either. And that worked out really, really well, just for them to be able to be together and do some hands-on activities, and that was great. But each year has been different, and it's been really some great partnerships, and we've picked up some wonderful mentors throughout the system over the years. And then during the year, just trying to engage them in different things. It's really a community building, with families coming, doing family potlucks. We really hope we can start doing those again. ACT, SAT prep, those kinds of things. I think one thing we really want to focus on more is infusing some more writing and STEM support for them, because that's really what they're coming back from college saying that they need. And like I said, Discovery is the other program that's sort of our broad outreach program. It's now in 5 of our regions. And so we recruit about 30 students in each region per year. We meet monthly on Saturdays. We rely on the good faith and love of our staff to come in and share, different medical specialties, or we try to do one non-clinical per year. Like we have our marketing team come, we have our strategy team come, to show them that if it doesn't work out and on the clinical side, that they can always work in healthcare in different ways. So that's sort of been the partnership in the program over the last 30 years. And that's really how we've shifted. Also, I think, it used to be, students from the North Shore and and I think we've really shifted to focus on students who really need the opportunities and exposure. And so that's been a good shift as well. And I'll turn it over to Erin to talk about how she takes them in college and then just some of our next steps.
Perfect. You can go to the next slide.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. All right, so this is an overview of what my team does when it comes to campus recruitment and how do we get in front of the youth to talk about our opportunities. So since September 1st of 2020, we've actually attended over 120 different recruitment events. Of course, 100% were virtual. We are getting back to some being in person, which is exciting. I kind of like the mixture of the hybrid approach. The type of events that we go to college career fairs, we go to community partner job fairs, diversity job fairs, networking events. Our high focus areas are CMAs, PCTs, RNs, respiratory therapy, of course, all of our internship programs that I'm going to talk to you about, and entry level roles across the 11 hospital system. We also have quite a lot of internal activity, even more so with the way that the market is shifting. So we host our own hiring blitzes, engage with our college partners to make sure that they're aware, our community partners to aware of like what's happening across NM when it comes to hiring. Next slide. You can go to the next slide.
I'm trying. I don't know why it won't go. Hold on one sec. There we go. Sorry.
No problem. Thank you. So this is an overview of the internship opportunities. We have a general administrative internship. We have an IT analytics internship. We have a marketing internship. We have a patient access internship. We have a pre-physician assistant internship, a pre-med internship. We have a radiology internship. We have multiple student nursing internships, and we also have a supply chain internship. For graduate level, it is just an administrative internship. We take 3 to 5 graduate students, so it's a smaller program, a little bit more, small, so that they're able to get a broad experience at NM. I think the important thing to point out is that these are all paid internships. So anything unpaid, like the clinical rotations or anything that is unpaid, is out of scope. We really want to make sure that our interns are able to come to work, that there's no barriers for them accepting an internship. We're always creating new internships. So radiology internship is new this summer. It's really exciting. We have a really engaged leader in this department who really wants to expose students to radiology. He did a lot of recruitment with high school partners. So we weren't just looking at students enrolled in college. We were really looking at students that think they want to be and are kind of interested in radiology. So it really truly is creating that exposure. And then we're actually having a wrap-up meeting here next week to go through what went well, what didn't go well, what would we do differently, and really look at what's the opportunity to expand this program, what can we do differently. And then supply chain had a few interns this summer and got the intern bug. So they did get approval to create their own program for next summer. So we're always looking at different ways that we can build this pipeline at NM. Go to the next slide. Oh, back one. So I started this role in 2017. So this just gives you a great viewpoint of how many the growth of our paid summer internship opportunities when it comes to college age. So in 2017, we were at 79 interns. And then this past summer, we are at 172. We are anticipating at least 200 paid summer college age internships for next summer. So we're gearing up for a busy recruitment season. We post all of our college age programs in December, and then we have them posted for about 4 to 5 weeks each year. The reason why we make sure that we're very deliberate and when we have post dates is so that everybody's aware of different opportunities at the same time, that we're able to communicate with our community partners, our internal stakeholders, our college partners of when these opportunities are going to be available for their students. Next slide. So additional strategies for growth. So one thing that we are looking at is centralizing shadowing experiences. It's not possible for all students to be able to do a 8, 10, 12-week internship over the summer. So allowing these 4 8-hour shadowing experiences to get exposure is extremely important. We also are doing apprenticeship program development and expansion. We already have 2 apprenticeships that started in IS this summer, and then we actually just posted 2 more positions within IS with a partnership with city colleges. We're also creating an apprenticeship program in our service center. So we'll be hiring 6 to 7 apprenticeships in our service center. So it's that hybrid of like HR, AP, IT, being able to answer random questions that our internal employees have. So kind of the master of everything. We're also in partnership with Mandy, looking at a pharmacy tech apprenticeship program. And we're having conversations about how we can also create them in like medical billing and coding. So lots of exciting work happening in that world outside of the paid summer internship opportunities. Another a strategy for growth is the collaboration that we're having between CLC, Lake Forest College, Rosalind Franklin, and NM, of really looking at how do we, educators and employers, work together to really capture youth that live in high hardship zip codes in Lake County, and how do we support them throughout their education and really, provide them opportunities at NM while they are earning their Master of Science in Nursing from Rosalind Franklin. So there's a lot of great work happening there. It's amazing to be at the table with educators. So it's something different that we've never had the opportunity to do. Also looking at expansion of programs into the regional hospitals. So there comes a point where the NMH can only take so many slots. We need to look at our 10 other hospitals to see what other kinds of programs we can develop in the regions. What has been working well is this HR collaboration with community affairs. Mandy's been here for 3.5 years, and just really seeing our 2 departments work together for the collective good of the community and for the students out there has been pretty amazing. Also, internal stakeholders have been extremely interested in developing pipelines. You can't really get anywhere with pipelines if the internal stakeholder interest isn't there. So that's been great to see. Also is making sure you have a departmental program manager. So for IS, for example, we do all the recruiting. So we hire anywhere from 20 to 30 IS interns. It's a lot of work for our small team. It's nice to have a program manager that you're able to kind of basically provide the students, and that the students are going to be taken care of. They develop the curriculum, they make sure that all the meet and greets are done, they meet with them on a weekly, bi-weekly basis to make sure that they're having a good experience. Another thing that's been working well is right before COVID, the shutdown, we converted from Taleo to Smart Recruiters, which was a great win for us. So Smart Recruiters allows us, they have a CRM, which allows us to pull all of our youth into a tracking system. And we're able to, on a yearly basis, pull a report to see, who's been converted, who's converted to an employee. It's also a great way for us to stay in communication with our fellow interns. Some of the challenges is, we're growing. When I first started, we were a 2-hospital system. 8 years later, we're 11 hospitals, over 33,000 employees. So lots of different legacy things happening. I know Mandy and I did a great job of trying to figure out these legacy programs maybe we weren't aware of, and really getting an understanding of what is truly happening when it comes to youth programs in our organization. Another challenge is just resources. I think Lori's mentioned this as well. It's finding the funding for things, making sure you have the right amount of people doing this important body of work. And the next slide, that's it. Does anyone have any questions for us?
I think quick question in terms of the apprenticeships with IS and such, is the focus, do you know if the focus is around more of like the break fix tech support, like service desk, or is it in like your Epic or medical, software sort of?
That's a great question. So we have one that started in desktop support, and then there's another one who, gosh, I'm trying to remember what area. It's like more like the software development area. So one of the limitations our program manager found is, in IS is that in order to be a registered apprenticeship, it has to be you have to be very particular what departments within IS. And that's why we went to them with the service center, which we used to call like My HR with all of our integrations. We did verify that that one also would be able to be a registered apprenticeship as well.
Mandy, I wanted to ask for Erin, are your programs year-round?
That's a great question. For my programs, it's not year-round. So it's truly a summer program. The apprenticeship programs are year-round though. So that's new to healthcare, it's new to NM. So we're trying to find our ways of getting that set up. And then Mandy, if you want to talk to the high school programs.
Sure, yeah. So our middle school and discovery programs and scholars, we engage them year round. So the discovery program is on Saturdays during the school year. Middle school career fair happens like one in the fall, one in the spring. Yeah, so we try to get them when they're in school, and the majority of things can happen, more creative things in the summer, but we do have them throughout the year.
Thank you.
I had a question. I know you guys talked about funding being one of the challenges, having the resources for the internships, the college age internships programs. Who is funding the salaries of the interns? Is it something that's coming from NM corporate budget, or do you use a third party partner?
It really depends. Mostly the department is funding. We do have some donors for like our pre-PA program. We do have a donor that helps with the funding, but typically it's the department that is funding the internship. So that's why the internal stakeholder is so important, that they see the value in these programs.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to move us along. Thank you so much, Erin and Mandy, for sharing Northwestern's programs. I want to make sure that we have time for some discussion by 9:45 at the latest. So I'm going to pass it on to Rukia now to present what you're doing at Rush with Reach. And Rukia, I believe you have ability to share your screen. Oh, Rukia, you're muted.
I see that now. Thank you. So Rukia Carvey-Johnson, Executive Director for the Rush Education and Career Hub. So our outreach work in this space began over 30 years ago as more of your traditional enrichment programming. And about 4 years ago, I came to Rush from Chicago Public Schools, having led STEM, and really worked on shifting the focus to more of a true pipeline that's focused on moving more Black and Latino and low socioeconomic status students into the STEM and healthcare field. And so our primary focus is on really putting them on a path to high skilled, high quality employment for greater economic well-being. So advance. Okay, so in terms of who we primarily serve, it is 80% Black and Latino, primarily female, and over 65% are first generation students. And so our basic approach is one that supports occupational identity development in STEM. We start early with in pre-K with programming, and then working our way up through high school and college with those paid work-based learning experiences focused on articulated career pathways that are aligned to labor market demand, and then also providing the necessary mentoring and wraparound supports that we know is incredibly important for a lot of young people, period, to just move into a STEM or healthcare field, and really, again, about that identity development. And so at the high school level and beyond, we have multiple entry points for students to be able to come in. So for that exploration that I'm just, I think I'm interested in healthcare. I've watched lots of Grey's Anatomy. We have MedSTEM Explorers where they can get a little taste in terms of exposure. And then if you decide you're really interested and you want to move on, then we move into that internship and some newly created apprenticeship space. And then again at college, we have internships and apprenticeships again in a variety of spaces. And our career pathways that we focus on in terms of when students come into the internship, they select their top interest areas. So you see the, medicine and pre-professional, nursing, allied health. We do IT, as well as health administration and innovation. To your point, Mandy, we really want to also make sure students are exposed to a lot of the non-clinical career opportunities that we know are important to the entire healthcare system, but also just in general for the STEM fields. And so we end up with students who may be interested in law or finance or engineering even in that pathway. And we do all of this. I think we all have this sort of common understanding that the work-based experience is not enough. There is the need to support academic enrichment, to also do some of the professionalism and just broader sort of interesting exposure types of opportunities. So whether that is mentoring or doing the job shadowing, those are critically important. And for us, our ultimate goal, of course we have short-term goals, but we are ultimately focused on seeing more of the students move into STEM and healthcare fields with this goal of at least 65% of our graduates, if you will, or alumni moving into STEM and healthcare. And as everyone mentioned, it's important, extremely important to collaborate with other organizations to do this work. Throughout this past year, we hit over 4,000 students, teachers, and families through programming and outreach. You can see some of our partners here. Some of our partners, we work with them on recruiting. So Chicago Scholars, Braven, the Academy Group, Instituto, those are organizations that also work with a lot of the same students in a lot of ways. And so sometimes being able to go to a group and be able to recruit students is a helpful way to get a good pipeline of students in. And then also just other organizations that are also in this space of really wanting to provide these sort of enrichment opportunities. So we have students who are interested in veterinary science. And so we partner with Paul Chicago around those types of opportunities. So just giving a broad example. In the past year, this summer, we did 200 plus high school and college students. That breakdown is basically, it's like 150 high school students and 50 college students over the course of the year. We had 90% of our students earn an industry recognized credential. And the part that I'm really, sort of focused on and hang our hat is that of our college students, there's 95% persistence, meaning they've moved past their sophomore year of college and have 92% of them stayed in the STEM or healthcare field. And then just this past year, we've hired 12 into part-time or full-time jobs. And so I wanted to just give a little spotlight on MedSTEM, which is our largest program. So that is the high school exposure program. I'm gonna just, I planned this as, let's see if this works. No. Pre-COVID, obviously.
These types of certifications are important for the students for a few reasons. Number one, it gives them exposure, all right? And I feel that that's extremely important. Number two, they get the what we call work-based learning and hands-on interactions, okay? So they're not just learning the material, but they're actually experiencing it, learning how to deal with the patient, with patient care management. Finally, they're also learning the economic values for these programs. And if they decide to go into nursing, if they decide to be either a nurse practitioner or a physician assistant, or even a physician, and I believe that the sky's the limit for these kids.
I learned a lot about mostly medical terminology that's going to be helpful as I further my career in STEM and medicine. And I also learned a lot on how to deal with deal with different people in the field and how to collaborate with others.
Okay. So I'm sharing, just shared that in the sense of giving the sort of, just a glimpse of what the programming looks like for students. Okay, now I'm trying to figure out how to get out of it. Let me see. Hold on, stop my share really quick. And go to the specifics of, oh Lord, we started again. Hold on. It is not letting me get out. Okay, here we go. So that just gave you sort of the basic, just a viewpoint of what MedSTEM does. And so now just to kind of think about the sort of the what's working and the challenges around that space. So for us, I think having a diverse, inclusive student-facing staff has been important for us in terms of helping students see what's possible and sort of see themselves reflected in the healthcare space. Also having a strong sort of career pathway curriculum and learning experience. I think having, we measure and sort of look at their interest and attitudes towards the STEM and healthcare field, in a pre and post survey. And we've consistently seen sort of steady commitment there. And then the wraparound supports, I think, have been really critical. I think, Maria, you mentioned like technology needs, like that's always a challenge. And so being able to provide some of the resources where needed, I think is important to seeing students through, especially when you're dealing with a high need population. And so a metric that we always look toward is how many of our students are returning to programs in our pipeline, and almost 80% of them come back and do multiple programs with us. Challenges, as already mentioned, COVID restrictions, right? The types of experiences that are available. We all know that hands-on learning and being in the hospital and just having that exposure is really a big part of what makes the experience enjoyable for students. And obviously having to manage through COVID is a challenge. The other piece is coordinating clinical and practicums for these certifications, where, having the students do training and tests, and then they need to actually get clinical hours. And that is definitely a challenge for us at the high school level, because they're competing with other college students and competing with students who are getting ready to graduate and can immediately go to into a job. And so we have really been limited in that space. And it's something that we're just continuing to work through. And we can only do it in like small numbers when we do it. So while we might have 20 or, students in phlebotomy, it might only be 2 or 3 at a time that we can get clinical experiences for over a season. Our other challenge is recruiting males, I'd say in general, and in particular, Black and Latino males. And so that's something that we, we're focused on for the upcoming year. And then, as with everyone else, also just kind of staff capacity, having these mighty goals and not having necessarily the people resources to do it. And so just a couple of the promising practices I think that everyone sort of highlight, but a couple of things that we see is, again, we connect sort of our career pathways and certifications and again, what we focus on with students, but where we see the job growth and where we see the demand. So that means sort of working with HR, understanding, the labor market demand for key roles. We're also looking at certifications that help students, can put them in entry-level jobs as soon as they graduate from high school and go into college, right? So there are some where, yes, they can actually start working part-time, as long as they're 18 and they pass the test and having that experience. We find that to be important because we want to make sure that students, we know a lot of our students have to work while they're in college, and we don't want, we would rather them sort of continue to build their experience in the healthcare field versus, say, going to work at Mariano's or something. The opportunity also to partner with other employers is important. We've all surfaced that. I think collaborating across industry and schools and different other like-minded organizations has been important for this, and I think will be important moving forward for the work. And then also providing opportunities for students to learn in multiple settings. We were able to do very small in-person labs over the past summer. And that helped us, I think, to keep some of the interest there. So having the virtual, but still finding a couple of ways to do small and in-person was helpful. And then again, having a continuum of multiple touch points for experiences. So we do programming throughout the year that is around sort of academic support. We have these, what we call Are You Ready boot camps, for writing and for math, and when students are getting ready to apply for college, also working with them on their applications. So by having these consistent touch points, you can continue to be engaged and keep them, keep you, in our organization sort of top of mind. Just wanted to share, I think, some of the resources. One of the things that we've been able to leverage is sort of that career pathway specific funding. There are WIOA funds that you can tap to support some of this work. And then, as you can also see, we partner with After School Matters to help fund, different components of our programming. And I will say, I think the one thing with that, and of course, with all of this stuff, when you're looking at, any kind of federal or, public funds, it is having a bandwidth to kind of manage the whole application and the reporting and the this and the that and, those restrictions. So I think there is you have to kind of weigh the risks around this, or weigh kind of your capacity to do it, but it could be a way to at least provide an initial proof point and sort of pilot some work with these organizations and not have to have funding from your corporate organization up front. So I think the other pieces in terms of, aligning on common goals and thinking about common metrics to report out on the work is important. So that's the other thing that we do. NIU has, with the employment and career pathway centers, there's some definitions already around career pathway work, and we try to leverage those in our work versus like coming up with our own such, just tap into the resources and the infrastructure that is already there around the work. So with that, any questions?
Thank you so much, Rukia. I hate to interject, but I think we're going to skip questions for you so we can go on to our last presentation, because I really want to make sure that we have a little time for discussion at the end of the day.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Rukia. That was a great presentation. I'm going to pass it on to Kinga from UIHealth. Kinga, if you could keep it to 10 minutes or less. I know that we had a little misunderstanding, which was my fault. So I know you're presenting on a whim today. So if you could keep it a little bit short, that would be really appreciated so we can all have a group discussion. But I'll pass it on to you, Kinga. Thank you.
I was on mute, I apologize. So hello everyone, my name is Kinga Matea. I'm the Director of Volunteer Services at UIHealth. And actually it was great to hear all your presentations. We are fairly new to workforce development. We have hired a workforce coordinator. It's not been even a year. And I will tell you a little bit about the mission of the department that we have. So the goal of the UIHealth Volunteer Services Department is to foster the diverse healthcare workforce that represents the population that UIHealth Hospital serves. So through the workforce development program. And as you see, we are committed to helping those interested in gaining access to entry-level positions by the means of the UIHealth volunteer program. So I'll tell you a little bit about the program. So it kind of happened naturally. Our volunteer programs are throughout the hospital, throughout the clinics, and oftentimes the volunteers serving in those departments, they are actually being offered employment positions. So for example, in our pharmacy department, almost 90% of volunteers who are serving in that department actually ending up being hired by the department, which is a great win for both the department and us as volunteer services, that departments, they have a free trial with volunteers, and then we'll see if this is a good fit for their department. And I'll tell you a little bit about the volunteering at UIHealth. So we have currently around 700 volunteers. Pre-COVID, we had 850, so we are slowly climbing back up. There is a system that volunteers are submitting their applications. There is some intake forms, the quiz, that we want to make sure that they actually watch the orientation. The next step is they are completing the health screening, which includes the drug screen. We also ask them to complete the background check. We also cover the cost for that. And then they will receive their ID badge and the uniform. So all those volunteer opportunities, they ultimately lead to employment opportunities. I know there is a lot of, we hear it from youth that they have problems getting jobs because nobody wants to provide them the first time experience. So that's another thing that we are actually implementing in our volunteer services office. We will be having extra help positions open to the 16, 17-year-olds, the younger generation, that to give them that first time experience so they could use it in their professional career. So those opportunities also lead to shadowing and research. So one of the benefits of volunteering, sometimes, like I mentioned, we have events that sometimes volunteers are volunteering along the side with the staff, and there's a conversation. We are there to provide the references. Our volunteers are, they have an updated health screening, they have a background check. So the process is fairly easy of onboarding the volunteers, and also they have recommendations. So we have a lot of departments reaching out to us if we have great candidates for a variety of positions. So we also write a lot of recommendation letters and provide references for our group of volunteers. And also they will get that experience in the clinical and the administrative departments. And sometimes they are so not decided which path to take. So they can try volunteering in the ER, they can try volunteering in the surgical services, they can try volunteering with kids or a rehab, and they will find out which is the path that they want to go with in the future. And we have a couple of youth initiatives. We are trying to target population in high schools, the youth interested in the healthcare careers. Through mentoring, we hope to lead the next generation of the healthcare workers. One of those programs is Champions. This is our summer program that is intended for high school youth ages between 16 to 18. And that youth is interested in the healthcare field. Champion students are introduced to a variety of public health curriculum aimed in preparing the next generation of healthcare workers. So again, they start as champions, and then we continue with them throughout the year. They are volunteering in a variety of opportunities. We are actually will be onboarding one of the champions from this summer to volunteer services. So she will be helping out with some clerical work and the flow in the department. Another initiative that we have, those are in the internships and apprenticeships. So we are working, this is our, I think, 4th year that we are working with ITW, David Spear Academy. We have interns that we are mentoring and we are working with them. We are also working on the partnership with Career Launch, hoping to go fully live next spring. And also PACE, which is Path to Academics, Community and Employment at National Louis University. And we're hoping to start this in September. So that program is a 3-year post-secondary certificate program designed to meet the transitional needs of young adults with some intellectual or physical learning difficulties. So we are very excited to start our program. And we also provide professional workshop series, teaching youth about resume and interviewing, professionalism and networking, entry-level career paths, personal finance planning even. So we are working with them, and those are the workshops that we are offering at the moment. And I will tell you a little bit about the data that we did during the Champions Youth Internship. So we are focusing on like I mentioned, the minorities. And so as you can see, we were 46% was Black African Americans. We had a couple of students from the Asian origin. And so we are very happy that it was a very diverse program, and we were able to share those opportunities with the youth from the surrounding neighborhoods. And we also ran the data on youth that is actually contributing to the household income. So this summer we had 37 students. So 11 out of the students, they were actually working to contribute to the household income. And here we have the data, how many hours they work per week. So less than 10 hours, we had 5 students. 5 students also worked for 15 to 20 hours, and 2 students work more than 20 hours. So this is in the nutshell. We are still working on expanding that program. So I'm very happy to hear what other places are actually offering, and we are hoping to get there too. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kinga. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you keeping it short so that we can get to our discussion.
Yes.
And as we discuss, if anyone has any burning questions for Kinga or Rukia, please jump in. But right now, with our remaining time, I'd really like us to just have a discussion, open conversation, and feel free to just unmute yourself around this question. I just put it in the chat, which is, how can we collaborate and work together for the good of our students? So I know that you all work together, you have heard about each other's programs before, you connect through CPS CTE or through Michael Reese or through Westside United. But are there some specific ways that CHWC can leverage some dollars or some coordinating capacity where you all could come together and enhance your programs for your students? Anyone can jump in.
I think a couple of ways, you know, one, there's sort of the recruitment or sharing program options, but I think about the fact that we all do some form of professionalism and sort of, you know, those skills-based training. And that to me is something that I think could be an opportunity to collaborate on as a group or collective. I don't think there's, you know, sure, we all might have different values, but ultimately, you know, when I say values, like we have eye care and all of that, but we all have this general sort of focus on some professionalism and work readiness. And I could see, and I think it would be great for the students to potentially be in, you know, be able to sign up for professionalism workshops that are together across, you know, organizations, if you will. And there could be some very specific things that we know are important to healthcare in the Chicagoland space. You know, I think that could be something.
Hi, this is Angel. I'm just curious, what do you mean by professionalism workshops?
So we will do workshops around sort of interview skills, how do you present yourself in the workplace, email communications, code switching, things like that.
Got it. Thank you.
And Rukia, we do those as well. We have them for the 6 weeks of the program. Once a week is just carved out to have at least 2 hours of, you know, soft skill building. And over the years, we have found that that has been, you know, very well received. And even with our CPS in the charter schools, they have said that this is one of the things that they feel is lacking, that they are not they know they're not teaching, don't have the manpower, or it's not because they're not wanting to, but it's just something that isn't being presented at the school. So yes, it's something we're doing, and we'd be happy to collaborate, with anyone on building out what we already have, or maybe sharing ideas of what we're doing, what you're doing, and seeing if there's something that we're missing or that you're missing.
I think
I'm
one of
gonna
the
bring in the college perspective. And my coworkers are very interested in this conversation. Please come on. They waited for me to talk. You know what? I'm going to try and end it.
I think from when we survey our students and ask for their feedback of what they would want or experience, I think the common theme that we get every year is more and more networking. So I think finding ways where we could have our students network with each other, regardless of what organization they're with, I think that would be a good experience for the students.
Okay, I think I've got a quiet room for a second, so I'm going to talk fast. With respect to the college, we're highly representative of first graduates and family and the Black and Brown community. So to the mentorship, the advice on professionalism, it's all really welcome. So I would really invite everyone here to connect with me, see if we can do presentations to the cohorts that we have for the different programs. We preach professionalism at MCC. But it's kind of like your mom. She tells you the same thing over and over, and then you hear it from a stranger and it's like, hey, this is a great idea. So we would love to have anyone and everyone come virtually to the college and speak about the needs that you have in your institutions. We also have some new programs that I'd love to share with some of you, so please connect with me.
This is Angel. I really like Erin's idea of networking opportunities for students to get to know other peers that are doing some similar program or have some similar experience. I think networking is a very underrated skill that can sometimes get you to places that degrees can't. And so teaching them that along with professionalism would be a great collaborative opportunity. I also think it would be cool to have like a formal or semi-formal like referral system where if a student's not eligible for our programs, I would love to send him to Northwestern or Rush or UI or Shore. Some sort of, if it's for the benefit of our students, if this is not an opportunity that you're eligible for right now, perhaps one of our partner hospitals has an opportunity for you. So I think that would be a cool thing.
I love that.
We started a list. We try to share that out when we have to tell students that there's not enough space or they missed the deadline of programs that we know of in the area, and we can share that with others and hopefully like make a better version of it. I think that would be really useful. And I wonder if there's some like combination of the networking idea and this sort of professionalism. Like, can we do like some sort of day or convening where we have like some mock interviews and some networking sessions? Like you could do those sort of like in the same space at the same time, like have some workshops that, for all of us, that we invite a bunch of, like a symposium day where we invite a bunch of students and have some workshops on professionalism and do some, obviously I assume it will be virtual for the foreseeable future, but having some networking rooms and then doing some mock interviews. And that also gives our teams like the chance to meet with some of the students and talk about some of like the open roles and open positions and things that are available right now. Could be like both.
I love that, Mandy.
And we did for our summer programs, we virtually had mock interviews, which we do every year during the summer. We have resume writing, public speaking, mock interviews. So to that, I could say we had 130 students plus everyone that we called in to help go into the breakout rooms to do these interviews. It was time consuming, but very rewarding. So it can be done virtually because we have done it for the past 2 years and it has been very successful. So this is good. And I also wanted to say, as being part of the West Side United, which I feel that some of us others are here, and I don't know if Nicole is on the call, but one of the goals there was that we would bring, the hospitals together to collaborate. And I know that in the past for UIC, we worked with their champions, a program where because we can't have students at Lurie until their junior year or 17, they would have a student that they could take in their sophomore year, but then would refer them to our program so they can do, either their junior or senior year. I know we've done that with Rush as well in the past, especially with Rain, because we shared that. But I think, Mandy, I'm pretty sure you still partner with Westinghouse, which is another one of our schools as well. I was excited to see Dr. Banzul because that's North Grant and that's one of our long-term partner schools as well. But I think that there's so much opportunity for us to collaborate. I really, really love the idea of, because we're exposing them to healthcare, but it's peace. So what about every year we have students that, as you've seen in the video, they want to be a midwife, they want to be an OB/GYN. So these are opportunities that we could share. Let's say you have an opportunity, at Northwestern, where we could then, after they're done with our program, continue on and see, or the same, they could go to Ricky at Rush, but we would then be giving them multiple opportunities. We do that after with all of our programs. There are always a pipeline. So if they did one summer Chicago their junior year, they can apply for DHC their senior year. Then after that, they can apply for the CHAMPS program, which is a college level program. So we have students that have done 4 or 5 of our programs, but it would be nice for them to have opportunities at other hospitals as well.
From everything that I'm hearing, I'm thinking about 2 ideas. One is just bringing together a menu of all the programs that the CHWC hospital systems provide, and having that be a living, breathing thing that perhaps lives on our website and is easily shareable. And another is hosting a day-long symposium type of thing that offers networking, workshops. And I'm wondering, I know a lot of your programs occur during the summer. If a day-long symposium through CHWC might be a nice, winter touch point to invite everyone to come back, to learn about the programs for the next summer, have a little refresher, see each other again. Any initial thoughts on that?
I like it. I think that works.
I like it too.
Yeah, it's a good touch point and it's a good time to get them to start thinking about summer. And like Erin said, we have things that post in December and we could alert them about that for sure. I love it.
I agree. I think that's a good idea.
Awesome. That's great. Well, I think I'll start, maybe I'll do an email chain with all of our presenters here and hope to, get some input from some other of the employer partners through CHWC, certainly talk about this at the September quarterly, but see if we can get moving on planning something like that.
Hey, April, was it I'm new to CHWC. Is this something, a website that we can also make accessible to our future interns and youth so they can see this list of all our partner hospital and the programs that they offer? If I understood your vision correctly.
Well,
like,
yeah, I guess it's an
programs on the
initial thought
website.
of where that could live. But yes, I would want it to be accessible to
Yeah.
you. So, I mean,
Cool.
perhaps it's more accessible if it's on CPS's website, or, you know, we'd have to think about where should this live so that it actually gets in front of students. But yeah, some sort of resource
Cool.
that shares all of your programs. Do you all agree that that's something
Yeah.
that you benefit from? Yeah, we can keep tooling with that idea and where, what it would look like and where it would live. But I think those are two solid ideas to move forward on. I know we're at time, so I want to thank all of the presenters again. Thank you so much for taking the time to put something together and share your programs. This is recorded, so hopefully some others will benefit from your presentations, and I will be following up, and I'm excited to get some CHWC programming underway around youth career awareness.
Thanks, April.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, Steve.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.